Okay, this review is a quick review on fractions. So what I want you to do while we're waiting to get started is I want you to answer the question 5/12 plus 1/12. Take a minute for that. Okay, if you remember any of this from last year or lots of years before that you've been doing fractions, is if the denominator is the same, this is cake. You just keep that denominator and then you add all the numerators. So 5 plus 1 is 6, which gives 6/12. In this classroom, your answer is not the final answer until you reduce it to lowest terms. So a quick review on reducing to lowest terms is you find the greatest common multiple that goes into both the numerator and denominator. In this case, 3 goes into both of them. 3, and actually 6 goes into both of them. So 6 goes into 6 once, and 6 goes into 12 twice. So we're going to reduce that to lowest terms. So on a quiz or test, if you left your fraction not reduced, I would take off a half a point. That's something to remember in here. All right. So now let's look at adding and subtracting fractions, but this time you don't have the same denominator. You cannot add or subtract fractions unless you have something called a common denominator. So to get the common denominator, you find the least common multiple of both of the denominators. So if you can't really tell what it is right away, what I like to do is I like to make lists of multiples of each, and when they have the same, you stop. So let's make a list of multiples of 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 6 is 12. And 2 times 7 is 14. So 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 2 is 14. So that's your least common multiple. So over here, I'm going to change both of those to 14. Let me erase my multiple list here. Okay, so we're back in action here. How did you get from 2 to 14? Well, you multiplied by 7. So now you're going to need to do the same thing to the numerator. So 7 times 1 is 7. How'd you get from 7 to 14? Well, you multiplied by 2. So now you have to do the same thing to the numerator. 2 times 3 is 6. So let's rewrite this. 7/14 minus 6/14 is the same thing as 7 minus 6 over 14, or 1/14. All right. Same thing with adding here. We do not have a common multiple because we have 3/7 and 1/5. So we're going to make our list of multiples. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 2 is 14. Whoops. 7 times 3. 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 4 is 28. And we're already at the 5. 7 times 5 is 35. So 5 times 1 is 5. Times 2 is 10. 3 is 15. 4 is 20. 5 is 25. 6 is 30. And then we're already at the 7. So our common denominator here is going to be 35. Okay, so when we look at this, we want to ask ourselves, how'd you get from 7 to 35? Well, I multiplied by 5. I need to do the same thing to the numerator. So 3 times 5 is 15. How'd you get from 5 to 35? Well, you multiplied by 7. Same thing to the numerator. 7 times 1 is 7. So let's rewrite this to be 15 35ths plus 7 35ths. So I have 22 35ths, which is already reduced to lowest terms. So we're done. Okay. So why don't you go ahead and try A and B on your own. I'll give you a minute. So 1/3 plus 8/27 is 17/27. That's reduced to lowest terms. 1/3 plus 7/9, your common denominator is 9. That'll be 10/9. So this is improper, and pre-algebra, it's okay to leave them improper. I know that you guys have been told all along that improper is wrong. Should you want to put this into a mixed number, I figure out how many 9s fit in a 10. Well, 1 9 fits in a 10, and there is 1 left over, and you keep your denominator. But it is perfectly acceptable to leave that as improper, as long as it's reduced. All right, let's go on to multiplying and dividing. You can just go ahead and multiply across, but that's going to leave you some work when you have to reduce it to lowest terms. So to reduce the amount of work you have when you reduce it to lowest terms, we're going to do something called cross simplify. You're going to look on the diagonal and see if there are any common factors between these. So let's look at the 8 and 4. Is there a number that is a factor or goes into both 8 and 4? Well, that's 4. 4 goes into 4 once and into 8 twice. There are no common factors between 7 and 9 on this diagonal, so let's just multiply across now. Let's rewrite. Kind of messy here, hold on. So now I have 2 times 9. So 7 times 1 is 7, and 2 times 9 is 18. So I have 7/18. That's reduced, so then we can just move on. That's multiplication. So the first thing you're going to do is cross simplify, and then you're going to multiply across. Okay, so you guys can take a minute and try the next ones. So the first one, 7/9 times 1/2, check for common factors across, and when you do that, you really don't find any, but you get 7/18. The next one, 4/7 times 9/11. Also, there are no common factors, so you end up with 36/77. That's as low as you can go. Okay, division. Division is really multiplication. So you find the reciprocal of the second one. Anybody remember what reciprocal is? It's when you flip the second fraction upside down. So find the reciprocal of the second fraction. And then you cross simplify. And then you just multiply across. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find that reciprocal. So I'm going to take 1/2 and flip it upside down. And then instead of dividing, you're now multiplying. So 1/2 becomes 2/1. That's the reciprocal. Now I'm going to cross simplify. 3 and 1, there are no common factors except 1, which doesn't change anything. 2 and 8, you have a common factor of 2. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 8 4 times. So now I have 3 times 1 over, oops, that's a 1, sorry. 4 times 1 is 3/4. So really, dividing is just multiplying by the reciprocal. Here you go, 3/4. So now you can try a couple of those. So 7/9 divided by 1/2 is really 7/9 times 2 over 1. And when you do that, you get 14/9. If I told you to put that into an improper fraction, I would say 1/9 fits in 14, and there are 5 left over, and you keep the numerator. 4/7 divided by 9/11 is really 4/7 times 11/9. And then you get 44/63, which is already reduced. That's it. I'll be distributing homework for you.